So please be mindful of that. Welcome everyone to our first year orientation for the Department of Political Science. Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone else is trickling in, so we'll let them in as they come in. So my name is Zain Sharifi. I'm the undergrad advisor for our department. A little bit about me is I actually am a alum of this department. So if you have any questions, not only about what classes you should be taking, but also peer-to-peer. I can help answer any questions to the best of my ability. Let Ethel also introduce herself.
Sure. Hi, I'm Ethel Liu. I'm the Student Affairs Manager for the department. And as such, I oversee both the undergraduate and the graduate programs. Um, I'm, you know, the I can help with any advising should Zane be away and you have an urgent question. Um, and yeah, we're here to support you in the next few years that you'll be at UCSD.
All right, thank you for that, Ethel. And yeah, so we're going to have maybe 50 minutes or so of a presentation and then a Q&A afterwards. But we'll try to answer the questions to our best ability in the chat. But if you really want an in-depth answer to your question, I would recommend staying until after the Q&A so you can get a little bit more in-depth response of that. But yeah, without further ado, let's start the presentation. Whoops. So yeah, we do have quite a bit planned for everyone. So whoops, I dropped that. So we'll start with introductions to this presentation. So upon RSVPing, we asked a question, how do you plan to be successful as a political science student at UC San Diego? Um, there were a lot of responses, as you can imagine. I fit them to the best of my ability into the slide. I'd like to put all of them in, but to be completely honest, they were all great answers, and I just tried to paraphrase a couple of them. And made them into the slide a little bit more digestible. So a couple responses. These all fall into a common theme. So attend my classes, ask for help, make connections, all very good ways to get acclimated. Also, being on track to my major requirements, picking classes to suit the future plans, we could definitely help you go upon that route. And also taking advantage of a number of diverse classes to widen our range of political knowledge. I'll get into the different types of classes in a minute. Creating a four-year plan, reaching out for support, and also participating in the foreign exchange program, also known as study abroad. We'll also get into that as we go about this presentation. So also participating in and interacting with clubs, internships, and volunteer opportunities. Those are all quintessential things to be a successful student at UC San Diego. We have a very lively political science community on campus. So I imagine a lot of you will be very uh, integrated into that. So we have about nine different subfields. Oh, I'm sorry, seven different subfields within the department. Eight if you count data analytics, which is a actual S into the program, one of the few in the country that offer a Bachelor's of Science. So American politics, race, ethnicity, and politics, comparative, international, political theory, public law, public policy, and of course, data analytics. So here's a brief description of every one of those subfields. And of course, there's the general political science track, which we will get into momentarily. But American politics, that's pretty self-explanatory. That's everything from local, state, national politics within the United States, looking at Congress, elections, and how race and gender correspond into that. A common question is what the difference is between comparative politics and international relations. Comparative politics is more about how governments differ from one another, everything from democracies to autocracies, elections, revolutions, etc. Whereas international relations isn't just about how countries interact with one another through war, but also through global economies, trade, and now climate agreements, as those are becoming more and more common. Data analytics is more about the uh, quantitative aspect of things, more of the science aspect of political science. If you're really into data collecting, graphs, computation of things, that might be more your speed. Also, political theory, which is more about the political philosophy and how that applies into the real world. Public law is more the legal aspect of political science. A lot of aspiring lawyers do go into public law, and our classes are taught by either lawyers or law professors from an actual law school. So it's a very cool experience if you do get to at least take a few of those classes. I definitely encourage it, even if that's not your major. And public policy, which of course was my major, which is more about looking at the legislative aspect of things, about the policy making and how policy is made not only nationally but through international agreements, local and state legislative, and our newest, which is race, ethnicity, and politics, which combines aspects from various different subfields of political science, but it's looking at the racial and ethnic differences and how that applies not only in the United States, but around the world. So, correction, 9 majors is what we have. So general political science is sort of an amalgamation of all of them. There isn't a specific topic that it falls under. It's any political science class. If you want to sort of get the gist of all of it, you can do a general political science major, but also you're not limited to your subfield if you choose any one of these concentrations. So as a total, any way you slice it, you have a total of 16 political science classes, 4 lower division and 12 upper division. 5 of the 12, if you choose a concentration like the ones I mentioned, must be in that concentration, and the 7 remaining will be in any area. Some students find that they can really uh, have a wide variety of classes within that. Some students really want to explore all of that to the best they can, which is really what the general political science major is for students to experiment as they can. All courses, of course, must be political science courses to receive major credit and must be taken for a letter grade. We do not accept pass, no pass, with a couple course exceptions. And this also applies to transfer courses as well. There might be some questions about AP classes. That's the only real exception of that. And you may change your major online via the change of major tool once you are enrolled in your fall classes, which is starting this week, but next week you'll be able to change that. So I'll pass it over to Ethel, who can help plug our computational social sciences minor and some quick facts about it.
All right. So, in addition to, overseeing the undergrad and grad programs, political science also houses the computational social sciences program. So CSS for short offers a minor to all undergrads at UCSD. And it also has a master's program. So I'm going to talk to you just about the minor for now, because that applies to undergrad students. It is an interdisciplinary minor where you can take classes across any of the departments in the social sciences. So political science, so UCSD, not only does it have the college system, but there's also schools where different departments are housed in. Okay, so like for example, if you're a chemistry major, you'd be in the School of Physical Sciences, right? Um, as a political science major, the Department of Political Science is housed under the Social Science, School of Social Science. So the CSS program offers this interdisciplinary minor. It has very real world applications. So it's a good fit if you're a student who wants practical hands-on training to complement your social science major, which a lot of it is, theoretical. So the curriculum combines training in programming, stats, social science research, and it comprises of 3 foundational courses, which are, I believe, CSS 1, 2, 3. And then the rest of the classes um, are electives or ones that you can choose from. And let's see, data analytics and 4 upper division elective courses from a list spanning the Division of Social Science. You can check out their website for more info. And also Eileen Merabian, she couldn't be here today, but she is the advisor for the CSS minor as well as the
We're just gonna
master.
drive like we're going to San Diego, and then we can figure it out when we get closer.
Can you please mute yourself? Can everyone please mute yourself until the Q&A session? Thank you. Okay, so here's some of the questions that our CSS majors delve into. How does social media influence voter turnout? That's very relevant, especially, given current events. How can we reduce crime while respecting privacy? How do microaggressions relate to consumer behavior? So these are just some of the topics that our undergrads delve into as they explore really the courses in this major or in this minor, sorry. So who can consider the CSS minor? You can. Any social science majors, any student majoring in any of the departments in the social sciences that want the technical skills and want to learn programming. Also, any student at UCSD, even those from who are already in computer science or data science, but they want that social science angle, or they want to, look into social science questions. So if you have any questions or if you have any interest in this minor, you can contact CSS through the VAC. You can actually contact Eileen now, or you could also wait until you're, prioritize your major first, and then you can always add the minor later. And I think that's it for me for this part. Back to you, Zane.
Yep, thanks, Ethel. So yeah, a lot of students have questions about information for the minor, and I try to answer those the best I can. But for the most in-depth and up-to-date information, I highly recommend visiting our undergrad web pages. So it's poli-sci.ucsd.edu/undergrad. And your best friend once you visit that page is this sidebar right here. It'll give you a good rundown of every one of our sections onto the web page. I would recommend visiting this area that says major and minor requirements, which will take you to this page, which will tell you exactly which classes you need to fulfill major requirements. Now, when you're planning your classes, you can go to the bottom of those webpage of each major. So if you're, let's say, a comparative politics major, scroll down to the bottom of this webpage to an area that says major checklist. This is a lot more palatable in a way to digest how to plan your classes. So like I said previously, these are your 4 lower divisions. Here are your 12 upper divisions. And these are your electives. These are your area of concentrations. When it says something like one thematic course, if you go back to this page, it'll tell you exactly which courses are labeled as quote unquote thematic. So every one of these courses, if you choose one of those, that will fill this requirement. And I would recommend using this to cross-reference your major plan. Something that's not mentioned here is to get a good template. I would recommend going to plans.ucsd.edu. And what you can do is you can enter your college and your major, and it will auto-generate a plan that you can edit and use as a template to your heart's content. Excuse me. But yeah, also some things that I want to highlight on this quarter by quarter plan. If you're ever unsure about any policies, they can be found on not only the quarter by quarter plan or on the web page, but also at the bottom here. You can see things like that major courses must be earned for a grade of C- or better. Those are the pass no pass courses I mentioned. Poly 30 must be taken at UCSD. And certain courses aren't allowed for the major, namely internships and non-political science courses, with the exception of Law and Society 101. I'm not expecting anyone to memorize this. That's why we have it written down. But yeah, we have those listed. Yeah, we also have a Bachelor's of International Affairs / Master's of International Affairs joint degree program. So this is a master's and a bachelor's sort of combined into one. So what you would be doing is through your junior year, you would apply to this, and you must be a currently enrolled political science student, which if you're here, I'm assuming you are. And you must take graduate level, or you would begin taking your graduate level courses in your senior year at UCSD and pay undergrad fees. So if you're really interested in getting the jump on things and you really like international affairs, this might be a good way to save money and get a leg up. And the following year, you would be taking graduate level courses and completing those to earn both a bachelor's and a master's of international affairs from UC San Diego. For more information on this, we have it on our webpage on this on one of these side tabs. If you scroll down below here, you'll be able to find it. And also on the GPS website. That's the School of Global Policy and Strategy. It's a graduate division. Yes, we do that in collaboration with that department in order to help students join this joint degree program. And yeah, with that, I would recommend students by now, your transcripts should be updated with any AP classes or anything like that. As first years, if there's no AP classes that you've taken, this should be blank. But this is your academic history on Triton Link. If you go to tritonlink.ucsd.edu and click on academic history, you should be taken to a page like this. Again, it'll probably be blank as a first year. And any courses you take or are currently enrolled in are listed here. I would recommend periodically checking this, making sure everything's in order, you're enrolled in your classes, and that the equivalence, again, as a first year, I wouldn't worry too much about that, but if you've taken any AP classes, they might be listed here. And with that, I would also familiarize yourself with the degree audit. This is a little bit intimidating for students, but what I like to tell students is this is just a official copy of your major checklist, but also not limited to your major. It also includes your college. To give the brief rundown on things, if this area is green, that means you've completed all the requirements. So on the example here, the student has taken Poly 10, this requirement is fulfilled. If the area is blue, that means you're in progress for completion. So this student is currently in progress for Poly 30D. Once they complete that, that area will become green, but right now it's going to be blue until they finish this class. And red indicates that you still have a little bit more work to do. You can see this student is in the process of finishing Poly 104F. Once they finish that, they'll only need one class to finish this area of their degree audit. And the classes they may choose are listed here. Notice how Poly 104B, which they've finished, isn't listed here. That's sort of by design, so you know which classes you can take and which ones you've already taken in that context. I like to use this as a way to check off the major checklist, and it's a good way to cross-reference that, but I recommend students use that major checklist in accordance to this and use both tools effectively. You can also find our tentative schedule when you're planning your classes on our webpage. We only have them for the current academic year. So right now, if you go to our webpage, click on political science courses on this side tab, and click on this hyperlink, which says Political Science Tentative Course Offerings. This will take you to this document. This document will state briefly the class that we're planning to offer for upcoming quarters this academic year, the title of the course, and the instructor. Now, the big caveat to this is this schedule is always changing in accordance to instructors' availabilities. Sometimes there is a last second thing that this instructor, we'll say Professor Hill, for example, cannot teach the course. Something urgent might come up. It might not even be UCSD related. And we'd be updating that. So I recommend every few weeks checking back here periodically and have some alternative courses lined up. If you're really banking on one class and for some reason that one class gets canceled, I would have an alternative course lined up in order to make adjustments to your academic schedule as needed. If you want to get specific information on faculty days and times that the course will be offered, the best way to do that is to visit the schedule of classes on Triton Link. And once that schedule goes live for the individual quarter, it will list the date and time and also location of the course on that class schedule. The nice thing about this is you can actually search this by subject. So if you look over here, if you want to say search by a specific instructor, let's say you really like an instructor, you can actually click on by professor or title, put that instructor in, and you can have a list of every class the instructor is teaching that respective quarter. It's really nice because if you're trying to jigsaw a class into your schedule, it really lets you sort through a lot of specific areas. So if you're only available on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can just click Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you only want courses with seats available, nothing waitlisted, you can click that down here. Of course, you can click by subject, department, or course number. It's a really good tool to try to find classes and see which classes sort of cross-reference with your schedule. So with that, I'll transition over to Ethel, who can give us some information on fall 2024 enrollment, some enrollment dates, and all those key dates and times for you.
All right. So as y'all are getting ready to enroll for the fall quarter, I want you to know that we've released seats. All departments should have. So what all departments do usually is save seats for entering students. So we capped enrollment during, May when the current students are enrolling, and then we release the seats just right before the incoming students enroll. So many of our classes, if not all, should have seats available. If you run into an issue where there is a wait list, actually, I'll talk about that in a minute. There is a way, there's an approach you can take for those. So let's see, enrollment guidance. You'll be working together. So I don't think Zane mentioned this earlier, but you have your classes you need for your college, and then you have your classes you need for your major. You really need to make sure you meet with both the major advisor, Zane, as well as a college advisor from your college to make sure that everything is aligned, right? That you're meeting your GEs as well as your major requirements. And that you do that throughout your 4 years. So as Zane has shown you, we have some tools you can use both from our department that we've developed as well as campus to help you plan your classes. And you'll be enrolling this week. We do have a first pass, second pass system. So next slide, please. During your first pass, you can enroll in up to, I believe, 11 units. And then once you've enrolled in, usually it means 2 classes, right? So you enroll in your first 2 classes because each class is usually 4 units. And then you save your last 2 classes for your second pass. If a class that you want to enroll in during first pass is full, you're not going to be able to wait list. But you can enroll in it in the second pass. So what you might want to do is if you see a class that's already full during first pass, you say, hey, I will just wait list for this in second pass. We do look at the wait list right before the start of classes, and we consider allowing students in from the wait list based on several factors. So one is the room capacity, right? Like we can't allow more than what the lecture hall or the room can accommodate. And then the second is TA availability. So our graduate students, serve as teaching assistants in our courses. And we can't overload them, right? Like if they're employed up to a certain amount, then we have to make sure that we don't, give them a whole, like a ton of students if they're only employed a certain amount. And the other thing too is instructor preference. So our instructors, our professors, sometimes they prefer smaller size classes. We work with them on this and we tell them, hey, our students have to take these classes, so we got to expand your class. But they do want to make sure that they can deliver the class in the best way they can. So sometimes they'll say, I don't want to teach a class larger than 50 students, for example. So all that to say that, just be patient if you can't get into the classes you want right off the bat, because you can wait list in them during second pass. The political science department does not allow late ads. I repeat, the political science department does not allow late ads. So there's an add and drop deadline at UCSD. I think your college probably has already mentioned this to you. You can only add classes up to the add deadline. If you don't add that political science class by the add deadline, we won't allow any past that. There's a drop deadline as well. So if, you check out the class, you sit in, you're like, not really vibing with this class, this is not what I expected. Or you read the syllabus and you're like, I don't know about this. Then you can drop that class. Just make sure that you're still a full-time student, because for many of you, especially if you have financial aid, you need to meet a minimum number of units to be able to be eligible. Let's see what else. Incoming students, so I'm just reading off the slide. Incoming students, before the quarter begins, you may be enrolled in and waitlisted for a total of 19.5 units. And then after the quarter starts, so after the first day of the quarter, you can add more classes. There is a thing called the blanking. But basically, if you enroll over a certain amount, like over 22 units, you have to get your college to sign off on it. You can't just like enroll in like 30 units or something. Next slide, please. Yeah, I already mentioned this. We have the 2-pass system. Oh, can you just, you're enrolling this week. Select open courses that add up to about 11.5 units. You won't be able to wait list. And yes, Friday of week 2 is the add deadline. And here at UCSD, we have 2 different drop deadlines. So the first drop is usually without a W. So that W just means you withdrew after, or you dropped a class after the initial drop deadline. And then you can drop the class later if you want, but you'll just have a little W next to your class on your transcript, which isn't terrible, but you don't want a lot of that. Okay, next slide, please. Department opportunities. Yes, okay. So something to think about, starting maybe your second year, third year, is to get research experience. So there's a couple ways you can do that. You can do independent research with a faculty. So that's the Poly 199. Help them on a project they're working on. So you don't design the project yourself. You help the
You can
faculty.
Quinn do the Sigma test.
You help the faculty with their with an ongoing research project. And you can earn units, so 4 units for each Poly 199. You can also work with a graduate student, so that this one is the Poly 198 RA. And grad students, we have a PhD program, they are also working on their dissertation, their research, and maybe they need help with collecting data. Or maybe they need help with, it's usually collecting data and compiling data. Well, if you want to see what it's like to be a grad student, to be mentored by a grad student, I think this is a good opportunity and earn credit. Zane collects information from our grads about their different projects, and he'll post that and send that out to you all. And then you can see, okay, this is a project that I think I'd want to be involved in. You submit an application, to that specific grad student, and then they will select who they would want to have as their apprentice. So those are 2 4-credit research opportunities. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is just to show you that we have amazing faculty. You can Google them and see the work that, not only their research work, but also their advocacy. Their work goes beyond just UCSD. And you can also see all of our faculty on our website. We have their profiles on our website, and typically most faculty, they have a separate link to their own website. So do check them out. Also a good way to know if you want to take their class. Or before you meet them during office hours, you might want to read up on what they've written and what they've done so that you have something to talk to them about. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so in your senior year, in your 4th year, you might want to consider this, the Senior Honors Program. You do a seminar in the fall and winter, and then in the spring of your senior year, you well, the spring, you're not really in a class anymore, but that's when your paper, your thesis gets read by blind reviewers, blind copies of your thesis, and the reviewers determine whether or not you get an honors designation. It's very selective, so you got to keep your GPA up. You have to have a minimum of a 3.6 major GPA. So this is not your overall GPA. This is specific major GPA to be eligible. And you also have to find a faculty mentor to serve as your advisor for your thesis. So if you are interested in this, it's good to build rapport with faculty beforehand. Maybe do a 199 with them in your junior year, because that will make it much easier for you to find a faculty willing to serve as your mentor for the senior honors. And it's pretty prestigious. Like, you can check out our website. You can see examples of past thesis papers that have been given honors distinction, and not all students get honors distinction. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty rigorous seminar. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so besides research, another avenue you should look into is to get some real world, experience, and internships are a good way to do that. Professor Mason Nichter, highly recommend her. You can earn credit and work with her through Poly 197 SD. So you'd find or perhaps talking to her, she can provide some suggestions on where to intern. And then you meet with other students who are enrolled in this internship seminar course. And I think it's a good way to kind of put your internship experience in context. So highly recommend that. The research seminar, 194 SD, that's typically with Professor Seth Hill, right, Zane? Okay, whereas Poly 197 SD is with Professor Nichter, Mason Nichter. Just note though that the research seminar can count toward your major. However, the internship seminar is not allowable for your major. And that's typically the case in generally. If you go, like Zane will talk about UCDC later, we really make sure that the courses that count for your major are rigor, like there's rigor in them, there's a research component, if it's not like a traditional course, for it to count. And then you can see the eligibility for these classes right there, which includes Poly 30D, which is the stats course, which I highly recommend you take early on and not later. So don't save Poly 30D for later. Take it in your first year or by the end of your second year. Next slide, please. Okay. This is still, I think this is using.
Yes, yes, it is. So thank you for that, Ethel. So a lot of ways to get involved in the program. This is one of our bigger opportunities that is a UC-wide collective. These are two separate programs. So there are UCDC and UC Center Sacramento. I'm actually an alum of the latter. So yeah, I could definitely speak from experience. They're both pretty similar programs. You would spend 1 quarter either in DC or Sacramento, depending on which program you choose. And you would receive UCSD course credit for any seminars that you take there. Plus, the majority of your time will be focused on your internship. And yeah, you'll have an optional elective. And specifically in UC Sacramento, less so in UCDC, you'll have an opportunity to present and conduct your own research, usually, but not always, connected to the internship you've chosen. So UC Sacramento chooses to look at students' interests. UCDC is a little bit more open-ended that way in selecting internships. However, UC Sacramento um, will give you a brief interview that you'll tell them a little bit about yourself, what your interests are. For example, when I spoke to the folks there, I mentioned I'm very interested in higher education administration, and my internship was actually in the California Community College Chancellor's Office. And yeah, that was a really cool experience. My research project was on a current project that uh the community college chancellor's office, the student equity and accessibility program, and its efficacy in allowing non-white students to bridge the gap in graduation, which they uh, called the achievement gap. And it was a very insightful research project. And at the end of the quarter, I was able to present it to professionals in the area who were able to ask questions, and they like to see what UC students are up to. So it's very good for expanding your professional network and your professional profile. And they also have weekly seminars where they can help you with professional development, having a good LinkedIn or grad school profile. And yeah, internships are available in all types of settings and industries. And it's a great way to polish your resume. I know for a fact that I would not be where I am if not for UC Sacramento. I still keep in contact with the cohort that I attended with. And yeah, they're all pretty successful students working in a similar context to their internship, especially. Um, Additionally, with that, there is the study abroad opportunities that I mentioned before. We have three different program types. The more prominent one is UC so I'll focus mostly on that one. Uh, that one is a UC collaborative study abroad program where you can earn UC credits abroad with top-ranked universities in over 40 different countries. There are research and internship opportunities, um, and also summer, quarter, and yearly options, and financial aid travels with you. If you want more information on that, I would contact your financial aid office about uh, study abroad preferences and see if you can uh, get more research on things like funds and how you can help uh, fund this opportunity. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. Alternatively, you can also do the global seminars, which is a 5-week summer-led program led by UCSD faculty. You will be taking, of course, because it's summer, 2 UCSD courses for a total of 8 units. It has the benefit of smaller class sizes and being taught in English. Again, financial aid is available for that. And there is also what we call UCOAP, which is third-party offerings by other universities that offer transfer units that can be used also towards UCSD requirements. It's a little bit more rigorous to get confirmation on whether or not those courses will count for your major. So I will say that, but it's great for out-of-state international students. Again, summer, quarterly, and yearly options. So yeah, the process for going about that would be to first do your research on the courses offered by a university you wish to attend. And you can find that on UCEAP's webpage, which is why I recommend that program. It's a lot more straightforward. And after that, you would speak to the study abroad office in your major and college advisors to see what can be applied to your UCSD requirements. After that, you would, of course, make those final selections and attend your classes abroad. Once you return from abroad is when you would start petitioning those classes. And those the petitioning process is pretty simple. Just be sure to save your syllabi and maybe any relevant coursework. And yeah, so for any information upon returning from abroad, I would recommend you visit me during drop-in advising hours or make an appointment once you return from abroad, of course, and we can look at your classes one by one and see how we can apply that. And yes, there are scholarships and opportunities because I understand this can be pretty costly. Traveling, as a lot of you may know, can be a little pricey. But yeah, employers love to see students who reach out and go abroad and able to make connections. It provides a lot more insight what's available globally. And yeah, 97% of those students do receive major credit. 72% graduate on time. And yeah, actually the cool thing about that is studying abroad, 72% of students who study abroad graduate in 4 years, while 61% uh, did not study abroad, graduated within 4 years. Of course, correlation is not causation, but might be something to keep in mind if you're worried about graduating on time. And here are some more informations about careers in grad school. Like I said, your sorry, your major is not boxing you into a particular career. Political science is a multidisciplinary major, so it can equip you with a lot of transferable skills that make you valuable in a variety of settings and grad school. You can use these skills to market your knowledge to the professional world. For example, if you're really into city planning, maybe urban planning grad school might be more your vibe. political science can be a road to do that. If you're like me, really into education, that's how I got into my position, was with a political science degree. Political science teaches leadership, working in the team, uh, written and verbal communication skills, which are very prominent in those political science classes. You'll be doing a lot of writing and verbal discussion, problem solving, and be able to give you a strong work ethic. Employers like to see how you're able to take those skills learned in the classroom and apply to the real world, which is why I emphasize in the importance of internships. The ability to take what you learned from the classroom and take it to the real world looks really good on a resume. Additionally, if you're a prospective law student, I recommend you take advantage of the uh, Prince Houston Law and Politics Initiative, directed by Professor Mesa Nichter. If she sounds familiar, we talked about her a few slides ago, who's also in charge of um, the uh, the local internship and research program. Yeah, it's a very good program that can give you a lot of insight on networking and into the law community. UC San Diego is a really active law community on campus. Um, yeah, like I said earlier, a lot of our faculty either are practicing attorneys uh, or are law professors or have some adjacent position to the legal profession, which can really provide students a lot of insight on what the law school experience really is like. Yeah, I would recommend also visiting our LinkedIn page, which I will uh, have listed on our webpage towards internship opportunities, which we do update frequently. Some resources for students. So there is the Board of Pre-Law Advisors, which are attorneys enrolled in the doctoral program at political science who can provide a lot of insight for students. They're available for individual appointments and of course can help you guide you in the field of law. As you know, law is not just one field. There's a lot of different subfields, criminal law, environmental law, etc. There's the American Political Science Association, which is a one of the larger political science associations in the country. They have a chapter on campus. Of course, there's the Career Center as well as the LinkedIn page that I mentioned earlier. If you look up Department of Political Science UC San Diego on LinkedIn, you'll find our page, which is again updated frequently. The Career Center can give you a lot of good guidance on career and grad school advising. And also there is the career and graduate school page under our undergraduate program headline on the political science webpage for law school advice. I'm sorry, for career advising and for law school advising for the path after graduation. I know that seems like a long time from now, but trust me, 4 years really isn't that long of a time. Oops, there we go. Additionally, with student involvement, there are a lot of really good student orgs. To get a good outlook of that, I would recommend going to getinvolved.ucsd.edu/org/list for a full list of student orgs. But here's some examples of ones that are active on campus, specifically Mock Trial and Model UN, which are good for aspiring lawyers or maybe someone who aspires to be a diplomat. We also have our Pi Sigma Alpha National Honor Society. This is not senior honors. This is not graduating with honors. What this is an honor society that is available nationwide. They have a chapter on campus. To be eligible for this, you just need to complete 7 political science classes. Of those 7, 3 must be upper division and have a 3.6 GPA in your political science courses. I want to emphasize 3.6 in political science, not 3.6 cumulatively. So this is only throughout your political science classes. And yeah, so there's also the Office for Students with Disabilities. If you are a student with a disability, I will be your OSD liaison. The procedure on how to register with this can be found on our webpage. If you go to the undergrad program, OSD accommodations, it will give you a good outline on how to register with this department. Some things to keep in mind. You must meet with an OSD specialist from that website to receive an authorization for accommodation letter. To do that, you have to provide medical documentation of your disability in order to receive that, which can give you different accommodations, things like extended test times, maybe a scribe for if you're unable to take notes or write essays. And yeah, the good thing about this is you don't have to wait until classes start. You can actually start, correct me if I'm wrong, Ethel, but I believe you can do it right now. And yes, so you'll be contacted through an email during week 1 of the quarter. I would recommend setting up an appointment as soon as possible. And by the end of your appointment, your questions should be answered on what accommodations are available and what an AFA letter really entails. Anything that's not on the letter, I will say, might not be able to get accommodated. So please, if you have any questions or you think anything should be accommodated, I would recommend speaking to a specialist from the Office of Students with Disabilities. That's a mouthful. That's why I'll always refer to it as OSD. So yeah, we also have some listed resources for students. Student success coaching programs, which are addressed through the colleges, but are connected, where students are connected to a success coach from their college who is familiar with the resource and can help guide you through those opportunities and resources. The analytical writing program, which can help students who struggle with writing or just need a second pair of eyes to look at their writing. Political science is a pretty writing heavy program, so I recommend you take advantage of that one as well. Academic achievement hubs and the teaching and learning commons, which can help provide tutoring and supplemental instruction. Oasis, which is very similar, that it provides tutoring, mentoring, and counseling to UCSD undergrads, and like I previously mentioned, the Office of Students with Disabilities. Additionally, we have counseling and psychological services, which can provide free confidential psychological counseling and crisis services for registered UCSD students. If you're experiencing any sort of struggle, I recommend receiving assistance from CAPS. They're a really good program. I've only heard good things about them. Also, the Office of Prevention of Harassment and Discrimination, which I refer to as OPHD, which can help educate the community about bias, harassment, and discrimination, and assist with the prevention and resolutions in a fair and responsible manner. So yeah, with that, I'll get into the advising structure of our department, and with any department really. So we have what's called multi-tiered advising. So department advisors are your resource for anything regarding the major. You should always contact us for questions regarding your majors. I discourage you from receiving advice from your peers, not because they're untrustworthy, but because they our advisors, specifically myself, are more up to date on all the procedures and policies within the department. So yes, please always contact us if you have any questions or concerns. Your questions might even be anything about major requirements, double majoring, course planning, enrollment issues, anything regarding academic policy, etc. But you should consult with your college about issues like university requirements, unit issues, or anything like that that doesn't go to our department, doesn't concern your major, should go to your college. So yes, I would ask any questions sent to our department to go to vac.ucsd.edu, where we can provide the most in-depth advising to your questions. And yes, so our office is open from Monday through Friday. Well, at least staff are available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And you can find more information on our office hours for page for information on drop-in advising. You can find that here if you go on to the undergraduate program and click on the first link in here, which is office hours, which will take you to here. As you can see, summer advising will be conducted remotely, but we will resume in-person advising come fall quarter. So the office hours won't change. So Mondays and Tuesdays, 1:30 to 3:30, you'll be able to talk to us. And that does include today. If you have any questions about your personal questions that should be addressed in a one-to-one manner, please attend those drop-in advising sessions, and also Wednesdays from 9:30 to 11:30. The link can be found on this webpage. Please use that link. A lot of students, for one reason or another, get links mixed up. They might be in their college. They might be for a different department. This link is the most up-to-date link on our webpage. And yeah, so that concludes our orientation session. Thank you all so much for being a good audience. And yeah, so we'll take 5 minutes right now, just as a short break, digest all that.